Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Elconin. Welcome to Premarket Info.
The disaster day for Apple today. Is it going to see a bottom today? We're down here in the pre-market again. Microsoft, we're going to look at the technicals on this stock. It's actually trading up pre-market. This could be a very good trade as you can define the risk. Lululemon, Men's Warehouse both report earnings, both trading lower. And money has been moving into the financials. Yesterday, Bank of America Citigroup rallying substantially. Joel, let's start with the stock that everybody is talking about, and that's Apple.
Yeah, didn't it have like the double death cross or something like that?
We're talking about moving average crosses.
Moving averages. What the? Who cares about moving
I know,
averages?
exactly. I love the way everybody tries to justify technical moves and order flow based moves with fundamentals. They're looking for reasons. Oh, maybe this was the reason, maybe that was the reason. There's no fundamental reason here. The stock was just basically everybody is too long the damn thing again, and it just starts to go down and then starts to roll over everybody that's trying to make markets on it or pick bottoms, and the market likes to punish the maximum amount of people. And right now there was too many people that were bullish Apple again, and the stock just rolled over. There was really no bounce, and it continues to roll over this morning here as well.
Yeah, they try to attribute it to margins being raised at some minuscule clearing firm or whatever.
Give me a break.
And what it was is that people were just puking their guts out.
Yep.
Sell stops going off, and I was actually did a tweet. I saw an old low at like 562, and I tweeted out, Apple on support, and I'm like, oh. It was like at 5:57 before I got done with the tweet.
Yeah.
But a couple things here about Apple. I don't like when stocks do this. They gap up after making that 505.75 low, closed at 527.68 that day, and then then it gaps up.
Gap and go.
$10. It's just not a healthy move. Well, lo and behold, you have the rally stalled 600. Coming back down to fill the gap. That gap is filled at 530, so I'll call that minor support. But really, you're in a danger zone here, and what I would recommend if you're trying to play this thing is let it go down through the 530 and wash out, and then if it comes back above it, maybe trying along. But
that's a better call. If you've got to get long this thing, let it bottom first. Let it start rallying before you try to pick the bottom here, because I'm going to tell you, I'm always a fan of the 2-day moves. You know that, Joel. I always say that. Huge down move yesterday. Is it going to fall another 35 points today? I don't think so, but I would not be surprised if this fell another 15, 20 points today before it does find a bottom and start to turn around. And it may not find that bottom right away. There's just basically too many people that own this damn stock, and it's just washing them out now. It's washing them out again. So even if you look, like we were saying, you had the 50% move back up, so basically it's a healthy technical move where you had a 200-point fall, you had a 90-point rally, and now you've basically had a change of hands again here. People started to get bullish, people started to get long, and now we're going to punish those traders again too. The market always punishes the maximum amount of participants, and there's just too many people long Apple.
The maximum amount of time.
In the well, in the minimum amount of time. So it punches the maximum amount of people in the minimum amount of time. So so I don't know. I am scared. If you're picking a bottom here at 534 on Apple, I think you might be early again. I don't know where the bottom is. I agree there's some value here. There's a bottom here eventually, but to try to say, and maybe it's still the 505. Maybe that's where it's going to bottom here and double bottom again, but it's so hard to say. But just picking, saying 534 or 530 is going to be the bottom here, you're just gambling basically. You've got to let this thing bottom before you start buying it.
And if you look at the daily too, man, you got a head and shoulders pattern top going up here with that 705 high and then the two shoulders. So heck, if you do a projection from the 705 high and then you got the recovery, the 600, man, this thing's going to 400.
Oh, if you did the 200 down, 100 up, and then 200 down, I don't just think it's 400.
Yeah, people are going to start protesting now that I said Apple's going to 400.
It's not going to 400.
But as quickly as they were selling the Apple, they were buying Bank America.
Oh man, were they ever buying Bank of America? It's this whole rotation thing happening yesterday. Correlations. Whoever says correlation, everything is correlated. It's not anymore. It hasn't been for the last 6 months. Correlations have all broke down on everything. Everything goes in any direction that it wants to go. It's like Wacky World. But everything coming out of Apple was going into the financials yesterday. Bank of America broke through that $10 area, never looked back, continued to climb. $10.46. It's continuing to climb this morning. 10.52. What a day for Bank America.
Yeah, this is getting a little bit interesting because not only did it bust through the $10 level, but it closed smartly above that. So it's going to take if it does go back to $10, it's going to have to chew through some major bids here. Taking a look at this entire 10 handle. Man, there's not a lot of resistance, Dennis. I can't say this thing's going to 11.14, but it might go to 11.14. That was a high back in July of 2011. Really, I mean, there's a few minor points, stopping in that $10 handle, but holy mackerel. Let's just keep an eye on yesterday's high. 10.56 is minor resistance, but this thing could definitely be migrating towards 11. And how about Citigroup? Just think if they would have cut like 50,000 jobs, instead of this thing, the thing would have been at 80. They cut jobs and, savings and stuff, and the street loved it. That thing gapped up to those couple highs there at 35 and never looked back. Now it probably has its sights set. Well, I got to use yesterday's highs resistance, 37.07, little ways away from that. But once again, 37 handle doesn't look littered with many offers.
Yeah, these financials are all breaking out here now, obviously led by Citigroup and Bank America here. Money is moving into this sector. It has been, everybody's been disinterested here in the financials for quite some time. But yesterday they got interested again, and it's all about rotation. I don't think this is just a one-day move here for these stocks. I wouldn't be surprised they pull back. I think you're going to find more buyers here again. I wouldn't be surprised if these stocks started to move up and take out their highs from yesterday here too. Morgan Stanley was another one that just started to break out yesterday, open near the lows. I'm kicking myself because I bought that low at 1670, but my scalper blood, Joel, you always can't get rid of that. I sold at 1685. Shouldn't have sold at 1701 here. I think the stock, if it can start to break up above 1710, it really starts to open up.
Yeah, the stock has moved up. Didn't really catch a bid like some of the other stocks does. Once again, between 17 and 17.50, there's really not a lot in there. Actually, you had a high at 17.64 in November. Keep an eye on that. Also, keep an eye on J.P. Morgan. Didn't really join the party a whole lot. Got up to 41.49. Couldn't close up near that area, but you got a high there. Then you have three highs from between 41.34 to 41.37. This thing, if it can break above that 41.50, has some room to run. And then you want to talk about some classic resistance. Look at this Wells Fargo here at 33.33. I don't know if Warren's trying to get out of some stock there, but we've hit 33.20 on multiple occasions, snuck up to 33.33 on the 29th. You can bust above there. We're going to 33.76 and maybe even fill that gap up around the $34 area.
Financials definitely looking a little bit better here. Another stock that actually you were talking about yesterday and I was talking about that I wasn't in love with it is Microsoft. And Microsoft, last night there was somebody that was buying thousands of shares after hours. I don't know what was going on, but he's probably bought over 50,000 shares, 80,000 shares. It appeared to be the same buyer because he was buying and he kept bidding for 50,000 share blocks, and he'd have to take it up, and then he'd get some at 26.75, and he got some 26.85. This morning, same thing. It's trading up here again. I don't know if it's the same buyer or if it's just other participants that are trading up with it too, but it's up 15 cents here. I think this Microsoft actually is starting to look pretty good. It starts to get above 27. I really like it. I've actually bought some for just for trades for full disclosure. So I'm liking this Microsoft. It's defined risk, like you were saying, Joel. You've got that bottom that it put in yesterday at 26.26. If it goes through that, that's a 52-week low. You get the hell out. But if you're willing to risk 50 cents here, there could be $1 or $2 of upside if you're looking at it from a longer term perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I still remember this stock at the end of last year. It gapped up from at the end of December 2612 high and gapped up to 2639. That was the low on January 3rd. I remember, you remember that. And then it took off, had a nice run up to 32, and lo and behold, here we come back down to this area. 2634 was the low for several days. They punched it through it yesterday. Couldn't get down to 2612. Pop back above it. Gonna have a little piece on what's going on in Mr. Softy later on today. A few more details on the move and a few more levels to look at. But the major resistance stands at the triple top here at 2736 to 2739.
I don't know. Maybe the money's coming out of Apple and going into Microsoft because since we started the show, Apple's fallen another $2 now. It's 532.20. By the time we get done the show, this thing might be at under 530. But Microsoft going up, Apple going down. Let's move to a couple of the earnings plays here. Lululemon, your yoga pants. I know you love that company, Joel. They beat cut by a couple cents, 39 against 37 estimates, but they lowered guidance, and that's putting the stock under pressure here this morning. It's traded 175,000 shares this morning and trading at 67.14, down a buck and a half.
Yeah, it doesn't look like you've been buying too many yoga pants. Looking at the low, they got a little overdone here. They took it down to 63.60 in the pre-market.
What?
So, even though the stock's down a buck, it actually has been on a major rally here, finding resistance at 67.40 in the pre-market. Besides that level, all the way up to 68. You're going to run into trouble in this stock. 68 was yesterday's low. But just kind of longer term perspective here, Lulu going back here almost till the middle of October, we've been trading 65 to 75. Really stalled out that 75. Yeah. Now the bad earnings. I'd kind of try and be patient here and wait till the $65 level. If it broke below 65, I think it could be in for a little bit of trouble. But, train to rage, 65 to 75. I want to be trying to step up too far before that $65 level today.
I can't believe that thing was traded down on the 63 handle. So sometimes what you see is these stocks do these full reversals in the pre-market. That thing gets above the close. Don't be surprised if it really started to rally and goes another buck here. That thing could end up positive on the day. So,
And I think it's done that before.
It has. Yep.
Yeah. I can remember one day where it was way down, ended way up. But just as a general rule, I mean, if there's a stock that I like to trade a lot and they have earnings out, it's probably not my. I'll use the activity maybe to cover a position, but usually on these earnings days, you can get some crazy ass activity.
Oh yeah, it's hard. It's almost a little bit of gambling too. But if it started to cut back through the close, where it's closed at 68.59, don't be surprised if it made a run for 70 or something like that. Stock's crazy enough to do that. Men's Warehouse MW 31.35 is where it closed. Then they reported earnings last night, which was late. Everybody was waiting for the earnings report. They didn't report till about 5:30. 95 cents against estimates of 97. They lower fourth quarter guidance. They lower full year guidance. Nothing good happening there. The stock is down over $3.50 in the pre-market, trading at 27.83. Disaster quarter for Men's Warehouse.
Yeah, didn't sell too many of those suits there. People must be going to Joseph A. Banks or something. 27.83 is the low. I'm kind of keeping an eye on this $28 level, Dennis. 28 was the exact low on August 7th this year, so that is support. I think if it did get back above the 28, I think I might be able to try a little bit of a long there. This is a pretty big move, and there's just not a ton of volume associated with it.
Just be careful, though, when there's not a ton of volume, too, so it can continue lower, too. Don't kid yourself, just like we were looking at FCX yesterday, and then that stock just continued down. Now, that was on an M&A play, but at the same time, this stock is thin. It's already moved $3.50. It can move around a lot. Obviously, the very low area of the double bottom is 26. 26 is huge support. It's $1.83 away from there. If it got down to that area, I would probably play from the long side. I don't like it at 28. I know you're saying you could try it if it came back through it.
If you were short, would you cover at 28?
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. I would have been covered at 30. I'm a scalper. Okay. But I like the 26 number a lot better than the 28 number. Speaking of M&A, WLT is in the rumors here this morning. There's an article out there, I think from Britain, saying that BHP Billiton might be interested in acquiring this company, and they were saying possibly up at $55 a share. I don't know if there's that much substantiated to the rumor because the stock's only trading at 34, but it is up substantially here, up $2.50 on those BHP rumors.
Yeah, well, it's just bumping around here at $34. This stock has just been laboring here under 35 now, going back to the end of July here. Kind of just getting another rounding bottom for this
Trying,
issue.
yeah.
Yeah, so I see some resistance. Double top you had back at the beginning of November, 34.73, 34.85. If you're playing it from a techno perspective, you know, you may want to lighten up on some lawn there, taking advantage of this. But if it's taken over at 55,
you,
you know,
you don't want to be selling at 34. So I don't
yeah,
know how much there is to these rumors, but sometimes they do materialize. I mean, you look at the thing, it's at 34.04. Man, if it got to 55, it's a good risk return. But obviously, the market's saying that that there's a very low probability that's going to 55, or this thing would be trading a hell of a lot higher. So it's all just risk return, and the market analyzes that obviously and puts it up a couple of bucks, saying, well, maybe there's only a 10% chance that this actually materializes, which is why it's up 34. So you basically probably risk yourself $3 or $4 if it doesn't materialize, and if it did, it'd go to 55, or maybe less than that. Who knows? Always hard to say. You can't play these things technically when there's M&A rumors floating around out there, though. What's your thoughts here? Well, you were wanting to say before I just go to the overall market, AT&T you wanted to cite too, Joel. You were just saying there's a nice technical formation in this one.
yeah, just really bumping its head up against this 34, 35 to 35.40 level. Three of the last four highs in that area. You also got a gap to fill up the 34.59 on that. You're still 40 cents away from it. So just if it gets up there, you may want to take a look at it. Possible a place to exit a long or try a low risk short. If it can, bust above there, will have a little bit more of a chance to move up. But what about the market here, Dennis? We are just I mean, this is like deja vu all over again. We're just
Yeah.
hanging out at this 1400, 1405 level. Sneak under 1400 yesterday.
hmm
Come out of the abyss, rally hard, and now we're just stuck at this 1405 level. 1404 is the 50% retracement of the move. What way are you leaning?
Man, this is so hard to trade, and look what it does too. So if you're trying to define your risk and saying, "Look, if it gets under 1400, I'm going to get out of my longs," and then it shakes you out that way. And then what it does is, if you're playing from the short side, it goes all the way up, makes a new high in basically 20 minutes, and then starts to come back down too. So it's called the shaky market, where it just basically tries to shake everyone out that's trying to control their risk. And here we are, just sitting down in the middle. I still, you've got Apple bringing the overall market down, but you have a lot of other sectors that are starting to look good again. I'm actually kind of getting bullish the overall market, even despite Apple not looking nearly as pretty as it did just 2 days ago. So obviously, and here's Apple. We're going to keep bringing it back up. It's at 531 now, so it's getting close to that 530 low. Just keeps going lower here, but the market holds up. The market and Apple are disconnected now, and you have a lot of other stocks picking up the slack. So if Apple ever does decide to bottom, this market could take off.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it because this will definitely put a top in the market, but it just doesn't seem like it just ever goes down. The fiscal cliff stuff comes out and you have these breaks and, it pops up again. But I'm still focusing over the next couple days on this 1404 level. That's the mid range of this entire rally. We got to hold that. We got to get away from there and get up and test that 1431 high.
That's our show for today, folks. Have a great trading day. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow.